This week on The Travel Show. I'm in Tarifa in Spain, where it's definitely the windier the better, as I check out the big air kite surfing competition.
Oh my God, that was so good! Yeah. Oh, I loved it.
We're getting artsy in southern Turkey for the Mardin biennale. And tick, tick, boom. We go behind the scenes at Boomtown during the countdown to the opening of this year's festival in the heart of the English countryside.
There's all hands on deck. Welcome to The Travel Show, coming to you this week from beautiful Tarifa in southern Spain.
Perched on the southernmost tip of continental Europe, just 14 kilometres from North Africa, Tarifa is the gateway between these two continents. Its position leaves the small Spanish town open to a blasting from the winds that shape its rugged coastline.
In this part of the world, there are two prevailing winds. One is the mellow, consistent poniente wind, and the other one is this bad boy, the levante, which storms in from the east and batters this coastline. And when it does, all the best kite surfers from around the world want to be right here.
And yet, while a windy beach break might not seem like your idea of a dream trip, it is for a mass influx of kite surfers that see the population of this once sleepy town over triple in size during the windy summer months. And this year will be bigger than ever as the world's leading kite surfers compete to fly the highest in the world's first ever big air competition, hosted right here in Tarifa. The winds here can reach up to 60 knots, with the athletes expertly manipulating it to fly over 30 metres high. I've headed over to the leaderboard to see how the competition is shaping up.
So the best of the best kite surfers in the world are competing here today?
We got 60 competitors, but they are divided in 5 divisions. We got 24 men and we got 12 women. It's an elimination system, so they are riding in groups of 2 or 3 riders at the same time, and then the winner advances to the next round. But we'll see in the end of the day who's going to arrive at the final and who's going to take the crown.
There's a reason why the wind is so consistently good here in Tarifa. Judge and commentator Lewis explains why.
Here is so special because it's so close to the north of Africa. What happens with the geology of the land is these mountains push up and then you get this strong wind that it comes in like, you've got to think of an hourglass where the sand rushes through the middle. That's what happens here in both directions, either from the Atlantic or the Mediterranean. That is why it's so uniquely always windy and so strong. So I think we're going to see something very special later.
Now that the winds are getting stronger and the competition is really heating up, I want to know how the athletes are doing.
Lorenzo, congratulations.
Thank you a lot.
Looked incredible out there. What's it like out there?
So the wind is pumping, it's like 30 knots, and we're flying really high.
It's just an unreal feeling. When I'm doing my best tricks, I just feel like Superman on the water. It's like I've got a superpower.
It's great energy on the beach. The wind is super strong, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So hopefully I continue to make it and arrive in the final soon.
Well, congratulations and good luck for the next stage.
And yet the medieval town of Tarifa and its surrounding beaches were not always home to this global influx of tourism.
Tarifa is a really bustling town. Now, that certainly wasn't always the case. In fact, very few tourists came here because why would you want to sit on the beach with such a wind blowing all of the time? But then, in the 1980s, the world came to love Tarifa's wind and everything changed. Tell me about the first time you came to Tarifa.
Well, I came through this entrance with my car, full of boards, and then we get stuck in one of these small streets.
In your car?
Yeah, in the
Stuck
car.
in a tiny street.
So-
Well, it is absolutely tiny.
Yeah.
I've come to the Old Town to meet Michel, who in 1982 left his hometown and chased the wind to wind up in Tarifa, opening the town's first ever kite surfing school.
Why were you coming to Tarifa?
Well, I came just searching the wind. It was a paradise for windsurfing, wind every day, long beach, sandy beach, nobody. That's perfect for us.
In fact, before kite surfing came to Tarifa, there was an exodus of locals leaving the town to find work. Now, Tarifeños can stay in their hometown thanks to the employment opportunities which this sport has brought with it.
So at the end, we are the ones who push this town up.
You did a good job.
Yeah, we did a good job. Sometimes you think it's better not to do it because then we have a perfect spot for us. Right now it's full of people. But
You gave the game away.
yeah, but
Now everyone knows.
always when you think that one is too late. So that's the problem.
Well, now I've seen the pros in action, kind of think I should give it a go. Can't be too hard, can it? It's going to be disastrous.
I've met with Tanya, owner of one of the 40, yes, that's 40 kite surfing schools that line this coast. It's time to experience what this legendary wind feels like for myself.
Oh, it's great. Oh.
But you see, once we are in the water, you see that it will feel quite natural.
I wouldn't bet on it, Tanya.
Oh my God, that was so good. Yeah. Oh, I loved it.
Pretty well.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It really just felt like being a kid again.
I couldn't come to Tarifa without trying its most famous sport. But I think for now, I'll leave it to the professionals. Now, if that's inspired you to go to a destination with plenty of sun, sea and kite surfing, then these are the spots you should be thinking of visiting on your next trip. If you're new to the sport, one of the best locations to learn kite surfing is Dakhla in Morocco. This flat water lagoon surrounded by the Moroccan desert makes an ideal training ground. With consistent winds virtually all year round and plenty of reasonably priced accommodation for the budding kite surfer, then this is the perfect place to earn your stripes. Feeling like you've got to grips with kite surfing and looking to build your confidence? Then Cambuco in Brazil could be for you. If you're looking for a fun and social experience with smaller waves, then this is the setting to really hone those skills. And Cabarete was once a fishing and farming hamlet on the north coast of the Dominican Republic, but today it's considered by many to have one of the best kite surfing scenes around. With so many of the sport's top contenders flocking to the beach, a phrase has been coined by the locals, confetti skies, to describe the spectacle of so many people enjoying the best wind and waves the island has to offer. Still to come on the travel show.
Welcome to Boomtown!
It's boom time for Boomtown. We go behind the scenes at the festival.
We do really well out scrapyards and car beach sales, as you can imagine.
And we hit the streets of Mardin for the city's 5th biennial.
It's in the middle of nowhere, but look, it's packed.
So don't go away.
Welcome back to the program. I'm still in the Tarifa area and at Bailo Claudia, the Roman ruins, and I'm going to meet someone who's going to give me a really tasty insight into the ancient life of this area. Manuel, hello.
Hello.
So Manuel, tell me, what do we have here?
Aquí lo que tenemos, nada más y nada menos, es la mítica salsa garum. Y se producía aquí, pero se exportaba por todo el Mediterráneo y el Atlántico.
Garum paste was the main export of Bailo Claudia, one of Spain's best preserved archaeological sites, revered over 2,000 years for this fermented fish conserve, which both preserved and flavoured the food of the time.
Para hacer el garum se utilizaba pescado, se utilizaban hierbas aromáticas que estaban alrededor de Baelo Claudia y también se utilizaba la sal.
So, if you were an ancient Roman person, you would have been very happy to find this on your table.
El garum no era el ketchup de los romanos, era algo parecido a la trufa negra actualmente, que potenciaba y daba aroma y sabor a los alimentos y los cocineros lo utilizaban de una manera muy especial.
And now the best chefs of the area are bringing back this ancient treat for modern day audiences.
Y ahora vamos a probar el garum de atún rojo, el garum que se hacía en esta zona del estrecho. Fijaos oscuro porque se hace con la sangre del atún rojo. Vamos a probarlo.
It's just a very savoury, a deep, savoury flavour.
Muy profundo.
I can see why the Romans would have enjoyed to have this on their food, especially if it were boiled.
Just how important is this resurrection?
How does it feel to you to be rediscovering these ancient tastes?
Es emocionante. Estás reconstruyendo la historia sensorial del Mediterráneo y entender que la ciencia no solamente está en los libros, sino que la ciencia se come y se bebe. Igual que en época romana el vino une a los hombres y a los dioses, los sabores y los alimentos del pasado nos pueden transportar a conocer nuestra historia.
Strategically placed in southeastern Turkey, high above the routes connecting Turkey to Syria and Iraq, is the ancient city of Mardin. Due to its position, this place has lived under many different rules, from the Babylonians to the Persians, but we're here to check out how the Mardin Biennial looks to encapsulate these influences into new, exciting works of art.
Here's a little bit of interesting info. The festival isn't centered in one place, rather it's spread about various culturally important sites around the town. So visitors are expected and encouraged to go and visit all of Mardin. Tonight, where we're going for the grand opening, is the German headquarters, which was used by the Germans during World War I as part of their alliance with the Ottoman Empire.
And so off to the opening night we go. Part of the appeal of Mardin is its hilltop location, meaning its buildings are built in a tiered system more commonly seen in a theatre or sports stadium. I mean, it may look pretty, but you better pack your walking shoes. After upping my step count, I arrived at the intended destination. And it's packed.
I didn't think it'd be because it took ages to get here. It's in the middle of nowhere, but look!
I'm not the world's #1 expert on the arts, but I'm willing to have my mind opened.
There's just so many little nooks and crannies full of art. You really have to go searching. Anything in here? No. No for once. No, that's Karl Marx. What does this mean? Look, come look. That's Karl Marx, isn't it? What have we done? Ah, see, I did get it right. It is Karl Marx.
But when I got talking to some of the artists, I started to understand what they were exhibiting and what it meant for the region, but also beyond that.
Right, what is this? What can you tell me about this exhibit?
So basically this piece is called Osmoscape, Echoes of the Osmotic Landscape. So for the last 4 years, I've been collecting data related to water, and I've built a composition, a graphical notation score, a musical score.
So I'm playing the sound, and the sound correlates to the data that's been collated. And I'm manipulating it as well.
A lot of the power companies are facing water crisis, and they're not able to cool their systems down. So it's causing, electrical disruptions.
I've been specifically looking at creation mythologies. So ceramic is, clay, like wet clay that is cooked and is transformed into a completely different matter. So there's a change of, like a kind of alchemy where the matter is transformed into something else. So that is kind of my metaphor for myself as well. Let's change into something else. Now is the time.
How important is it to have a festival of art and culture in Mardin?
I think it's very organic that it's happening here. Because here, like, you sit down and you go into a store, you sit down and have tea with somebody, all of a sudden you're learning all of this, like, other stories and you know, gossips and other information that you wouldn't have any access to whatsoever, but it's an oral tradition.
The works on display here are varied, but they all tie in to the festival's main theme.
A big part of the thematic is to do with globalization as a gesture for border crossing and as gesture that was quite universal and was an appeal to reach out to the other across barriers of all kinds, cultural, political, linguistic. The southeastern region in Turkey, because sort of like a mix between the Kurdish people and other groups as well. I mean, the geography is sort of like already a cultural melting pot. It just makes sense. It's like asking for it in some ways and ready to be that receptacle for that kind of occurrence.
Because it just perfectly reflects the globalization that you're looking for to, you know, thematically put out there.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The biennial is a great experience, but this city's rich culture is here to see all year round. From its people to its unique architecture scattered across the slopes of this ancient city, Mardin itself is truly a work of art.
This summertime saw many of Europe's top festivals make their comebacks after 2 years of COVID restrictions. We headed to the English countryside to find out how to turn a farmer's field into a temporary town full of music and theatre.
You've got the kind of core team, you've then got the district kind of coordination team, which is the outdoor set theming. And then that goes down into the street venues and the smaller crews. So each one of these street venues will have its own individual crew. So they add their own bit of love and kind of detail and energy to their own little space.
We've been like working since last week. So we've kind of been working and then now it's suddenly do this, do that, do that, do that. It's all hands on deck.
Is that this platform that's been based out? That's the platform we're working with, is it? So these guys have done, they've probably been here for about 2 weeks, I'd say, and they've just, I mean, they would have planned it for probably a couple of weeks, and scrap yards, and yeah, we do really well out scrap yards and car boot styles, as you can imagine.
We were supposed to be finished today, probably going to have to do a voluntary day tomorrow, because I don't think it's all going to be finished by tonight.
There's probably around 8,000 people on site, I think. We start with the creative brainstorming of how the festival's going to look like in September. And then we do creative brainstorming right the way through up to December. And then January we go into kind of delivery and pre-planning, pre-production. And then it takes us 8 months of the pre-production to get us to opening.
Now it's all about delivery. Now we're on the ground, it's making sure that all that planning that we've done lands as it was, well, how it was planned to do so, and making sure we deliver the best show of the year. There's always last-minute hiccups. We've obviously got artists dropping out at the last minute, staff dropping out at the last minute, various things, travel problems, visa problems, all those sorts of things. So whilst it's locked, it's continually changing and evolving. A lot of people want to play here because of but we're a bit different with all the theatrics going on, so we have a good reputation for what we deliver and how spectacular it can be. A lot of the production levels are hugely impressive, so people want to play here.
As we come into the final show week of the build, we have a 24-hour shift, so we have a daytime crew and a nighttime crew, so we just keep it flowing through.
Festivals generally get a lot of bad press about lineups not being gender balanced or diverse enough, so it makes you more and more aware of it. It's the first year we've been as bold to try and aim for 50-50, but we've been trying to gender balance the lineup for, well, since I've been here. It's always been something we've been striving for, but it's not just about gender either. It's about diversifying the lineup to all people. You know, we want everyone to not only feel welcome, we want to go out of our way to try and bring them in.
From Southampton, everybody!
Most of them have been waiting 3 years to come. They've had their tickets for 3 years. The gates will open, they'll run in, they'll be setting up their campsites, be meeting their neighbours. It's really exciting, but before that, we have to get the site completely signed off.
Thank you! Welcome to Boomtown! Welcome!
Oh, yeah. Our job is to make sure they're well behaved, of course. Make sure everyone's happy, well hydrated, especially in this sort of weather. Yeah. But yeah, make sure everyone's okay, man.
It's great seeing all the public come in, that moment where they come in. When they come into the city and get lost and get immersed and start interacting with the world, like that's, you can't replace that.
Come back, come Yoga instructor. We're ready.
I've learned a lot in the last 15 years being here. I think that's the beauty, because we've grown. We grew at such an amazing speed. There was so much learning every year. What's important to me is to go out and feel that vibe out there.
We're all living the dream in Old Town Dairy.
So I want to see how it feels to the audience and how they're reacting.
Wow, fine.
Right now, it's all ramping up and everyone's getting settled in, and everyone just starts exploring and like chatting to characters, going through doors. All those really unique one-off experiences you get at Boomtown that people remember, they start happening now.
Well, that's all we have time for on this week's show. I'm off to watch a bit more kite surfing. But before I go, here's what's coming up next week.
We have something very special for you. We'll be joining a group of adventurers heading off on a journey of a lifetime to one of the most fascinating but inaccessible places in the world, the wreck of the Titanic.
We're literally 300 meters from Titanic, and I was thinking, we're not gonna make it.
So do join us then if you can. And if you can't wait, in the meantime, check us out on social media, where you'll find a whole range of amazing travel content from the BBC. Until next time, from me, Crystal Larwood, and the rest of the Travel Show team here in Tarifa, it's goodbye.